Welcome to the Stacked Supplement Podcast, the premier source for supplement news and reviews.
So for today's episode, we actually have a very special guest who the entire episode is going to be dedicated to. We have Mr. Jay Cutler, four-time Mr. Olympia, who recently just relaunched his brand Cutler Nutrition in a very big way. And so to talk about the brand and everything that's going on, here he is, Jay Cutler himself.
Hey, great to have me on here, man. It's been something I've been watching for a long time, so it's a great opportunity for me and for everyone around the world to get a chance to get a little bit inside what I'm doing here.
So, Cutler Nutrition, it's been around for quite some time. What was was there any kind of inspiration just behind because it's a huge relaunch. It's not just like a rebrand or a new product. It's a complete, I would say, an entirely new brand.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've been, kind of my history of bodybuilding, and, I endorse some of the greatest brands throughout the years. I had a great partnership with Muscle Tech, and, I endorsed that brand for 8 years. I was with the Oh Yeah company. I was with Joe Weider. And, I formed a partnership with BPI Sports, which was a great learning experience for me. Derek and James over there, they taught me a lot, and I was able to get a lot of, traction overseas with them, which, was an experience. But eventually, I, looked at doing something even bigger, and now I took full control of Cutler Nutrition. I revamped it, reformulated, rebranded it, and took everything in-house myself. So now, you're seeing the new packaging, all new formulas, all up to date, everything. And now it just released. We're on our 2-week mark today, and I'm happy to let everyone know. I mean, it's way ahead of expectations, and I'm very, very proud of this brand because I worked diligently since August on developing these products, and I worked with some of the best formulations that I could find, and of course, cost effective at the same time. And I feel very, very strongly, I can put these formulas online, which I've been doing on my social media, and I can stand them up to pretty much anything in the industry and feel confident that I still have a stronghold on something that's special, and it really can explode because of the way it's been kind of structured. And of course, I've used a lot of products over the years, and, people have different effects with products. I realize that. People have gotten a lot smarter now with not only what's in the products, okay, but how the products are formulated, where they're formulated, where their production is being run. And, I'm actually manufacturing pretty close to me, which is, I have one place in Utah, so I'm in Las Vegas. So I've been really hands-on, and I'm not sitting there saying I'm the most scientific guy when it comes to formulations, but I know some of these ingredients, and I know what works. And sometimes you can put on paper, like when we sat down and, I said, okay, what do I want in my product? Of course, it still has to be cost effective at the same time, but you say, okay, what components trigger what, and how you're going to get the best effects out of it. And I've always stressed the main thing, and I'm going to talk like pre-workout. I've always stressed how important a pump is to pre-workouts, okay? Not about like stimulation. Back in the day when I started in 1991, we didn't have pre-workouts. We didn't take that. I remember when I was training for Olympias, I would take a fat burner to basically lose weight or go to the gym, and I would use my training to kind of stimulate fat loss. But like, man, it's just transpired so much. And that. You've seen so many different products in the market, your head can spin. And I know you guys do reviews on different things, and ingredients are changing, right? But we know we still have to be somewhat universal to do distribution around the world. And I have a very broad audience, meaning not only in the States, but internationally. And there's certain substances that are banned in certain countries. So I felt like I packed these things with as much push as I could and with the most success. And I'm very, very proud to stand behind the newest brand, especially.
So, you were saying that you basically started the whole process and the relaunch and everything back in like August. So was there any time before that like you just kind of had the idea, or did it all just come and you just kicked off in August?
You know what? I worked in a partnership with BPI for years, and I always wanted to do different things. And, when you're working with a bigger entity like that, there's there's just protocol, right? So as that company expanded, and now, they're in so many different channels, I felt it kind of limited me a little bit, because, I was in-house with a bigger brand, and, they were advising me on certain things, but I didn't necessarily have, I had partnerships that, we maybe had different opinions. And with Derek, he always advised me the right way. And the funny thing is, we split off, sometime like midsummer, and, we still talk all the time. We still have a great relationship. And I just felt like, listen, I want to go in a different direction. I want to focus on more direct to consumer. And I want to have some different products that kind of stand alone and kind of rebranded. And that's kind of what we came to that conclusion. We decided, hey, you know what? We respect that. Let's mutually separate this thing. And, I wish you the best of luck and whatever. And he still calls me like, hey man, if you need help. And obviously I'm in a lot of relationships through them. So it's like, I've developed great relationships too, but I realized like my potential where I can really take this thing, especially with my response on social media. So I'm super excited. I've got a lot of great feedback, and yes, from day one, I always wanted to have my own products. I used to mix my own stuff back in the day, but the problem is now like, these things like a citrulline or alpha GPC, like I didn't know of that stuff 4 years ago, 5 years ago. You know what I mean? So everything's kind of changing in these products, and I remember when NO2 and nitric oxide was like the big thing, right? I remember NO Explode was like the product, and then we did like Pump Tech at Muscle Tech, and we had all these different versions. And then of course everyone went stim crazy for a while, and you got into the 1,3s, and then that got banned. And there's still some derivatives of all that stuff, but I'm just focused on more of the nootropics type stuff. And I think that's key. I think it's really key for that focus and that better brain and tunnel vision type product.
So you were saying you formulated a lot of the stuff, all of it yourself. Is there any one product like that you were just most proud of? Because there are a few things different in this line, a lot of things different from the previous one. Is there anything that you were just like, straight from the start, I got to put this in there?
Well, listen. The Prevail, which is, we have a non-stim and a stim product. Okay, so I have Amplify as a non-stim, which it has 5 grams of citrulline and 2 scoops. Okay, and it's a hydration. I thrive on the hydration side because, obviously, you have to stay hydrated with the muscles, but I also like with the pre-workout with the stim product. I realize that's going to outsell a lot because people still want to feel something, right? Where I'm a pump guy because I train super late at night. You see my videos. Sometimes I train in the middle of the night, but with the alpha GPC, we have a very strong dose in there, like 750 milligrams in the Prevail, which gives you that good feeling, that tunnel vision focus. And I think, listen, if you want to have 500 milligrams of caffeine and be cracked out of your mind, listen, go ahead. But that's not what I'm trying to do. That's just, it doesn't work. It's counterproductive on training. So when I focus on something, so listen, I can stack the two, but most of the time at 45 years old, I'm not going to sit there and promote every single workout I go to the gym on a stim pre-workout. You know what I'm saying? That's just not me. So I'm focused on, I always tell everyone, how do I judge my workouts? I go to the gym and I get a crazy pump, right? So ideally that's great for me. And then of course our branched chain essential aminos, that's the Generate is awesome. That's a product that's going to climb up really quick because now people are getting smarter now with the essential aminos and branched chains combination, right?
Yeah, I think you're definitely right with over the years, things have definitely changed dramatically since the 1-3 days. You got the stim free pre-workouts. It's almost a category in its own anymore. And same with like you're saying about people are smarter, and there are certain ingredients that you have to have in products, like citrulline, like you guys have done a good job with. Is there any other products that you have planned, or at least even just categories that you have interest in? Because you already done a pretty good job at covering quite a few categories. It's not just a pre-workout. You've got 5 in there.
Well, listen, that's our launch, right? So everything, and it's funny because I just had a conference call at 6:00 this morning, and my next products, the protein's getting finished. I just finalized some samples. I've been putting that on media, so I'm going to do an isolate protein. I'm doing my international versions with the gainers and also the whey protein. But I am looking at doing a sleep product. Okay, I'm going to do the commodity products, which focus on the creatines, that kind of stuff, because I do have international demand for that. But like I said, this brand is mostly direct to consumer. So the only place you can really buy this brand is going to be on my Amazon store and on cutlernutrition.com. So that's the way I'm kind of keeping it. Yes, will I do some international distribution? Yes, in time. I'm just not really prepared as the first 2 weeks to really get that totally going yet. We've had an abundance of orders direct. We are really putting it out there, and I'm getting a lot of great reviews on it. I wanted to make sure the product was perfect in case we needed to change anything before I really exploded and blew this thing out of the water with the announcement. But I am focused. I want to do a product that's more. I want to do something that's more of a clear product too. That's not, because listen, not everyone that follows me wants to take a pre-workout, because honestly, a lot of people don't work out, right? They just want to focus on stuff. So I know I talk about my business and trying to go through my days and staying clear and staying focused on one thing and having the attention, right? The attention span. So I think I need to do something on that kind of line. So I'm looking at doing something with that product and, kind of expanding from there. I mean, it's endless what I'll do, but that sleep product is super important because we know how important sleep is. I preach that all the time. And you can only trend up so fast, and it really comes down to what my line demands, and to keep the integrity. As you see with all the products, Prevail, Amplify, Triumph, Generate, we all have a theme going here. So that's what I kind of wanted to do with the product line too. So there was a lot of thought process that went into the packaging and the display, and how, remember I went from purple labels over to white. My original launch was white because it was an international based brand. But now I feel like my bottles look very clinical, if that's the term I want to use. They look, something that you'd see a little more clinically dosed products, or, that kind of presentation. So I want to keep that whole scope kind of on the same track. And I feel that the brand's going to get a lot of traction. I mean, so far it's been great, and I'm very happy with how it's performed. And we'll see what the feedback is.
Yeah, I mean, it's like when we shared it, it seemed to get an incredibly big reaction. In fact, I actually think we tried to boost it on Facebook, but we had a topless picture of you behind the supplements, and so they rejected the promotion. But it's got a lot of good reaction on our end. And you were saying, you have a lot of international relationships. Being 4-time Mr. Olympia, your fan base is just all over the globe. With a lot of brands these days, we see them going pretty much direct to consumer, direct to these countries. Is that a strategy you guys are doing, or are you actually doing the larger one, going to the distributors and having them, because the reach with them seems a little bit better?
Ideally for me, I would like to do distribution myself all around where I need to go. So I am setting up fulfillment in all these places. Right now, I mean, we've had a couple international orders that we handled ourselves here. And as you see a lot of stuff that goes on media. I do a lot. I handle day-to-days out of Las Vegas. I do have some extra hands on hand when I travel and whatnot. So it's really, it is a learning curve for me, because I've been spending every night till like midnight working at my warehouse. And before, I was running all my operation out of my garage. I've had a warehouse for like 2 years now, just between the clothing brands. But, I would like to have as much control over this brand as I can. And that's the thing is, someone texted me yesterday, and they said, asked me about the protein. When is it going to be ready? I said, probably about 6 weeks. And they said, oh, I'm going to have to come to Vegas and help you out or whatever. And I said, well, hopefully that's not going to happen too fast. I mean, my biggest fear is the thing explodes faster than what I can handle. And people that follow me know that I can handle a big load, but at the same time, like, I feel that this thing could trend really fast. So I'm one of these people that like, oh, wait, I just don't want it to go so fast that it's not in my control, because I want to keep the quality there and I want to keep the customer service. I mean, a lot of times, I'll be honest, like, everyone that's placing orders outside, that's not, you know, people are emailing me, okay? They have direct contact. My email's right on my Instagram. And they basically, you know, they hit me up and I respond to all these people. I mean, I'm in the DMs. I'm handling a lot of the customer service and answering questions. If there's mess ups on things, I'm handling it. So I'll say Jay's team, but to be honest, a lot of times that is me right now in the early stages, because, you know, I'm kind of a really in-depth guy with what I do, and I have integrity in what I do. But I really want this to be super special, because I just feel that the internet's kind of jaded a lot of this stuff now. And obviously, as I scale up, it's going to be a little harder to handle. But right now, you know, I have a great fan following, and I'm putting out a lot of quality. So I would like to keep the distribution more direct and more hands-on. So if someone's going to support me, you know, I'm going to be able to support them just as much with marketing material, you know, doing obviously appearances in that sense. But the days of the big distributors, man, I don't know if that's really what the newer, smaller brands are looking for. I mean, I don't want to say that I'm not out there looking for it, but at the same time, I'm pretty comfortable with the way it's taken off and handling it more direct on my end. So, you know, we'll see whatever it scales up to, but I've got a lot of interest from the international side, and I'm sure I will work with some of the bigger vendors, but it's going to have to be a solid working relationship, and I'm working on those now. I'm in talks with a couple of the big boys out there.
Awesome. Well, I mean, it's is there anything you kind of, before we round this out, is there anything you kind of want to drop a hint on that's coming soon? Or, I mean, like I said, I know you just dropped like 2 weeks ago, so we are very early.
You know what, man? Like, I'm one of these people that I want the listeners to understand, like, I don't really talk a big game. What I like to do is really produce more than others. So anyone that's met me, what you see is what you get, right? So I want people to understand, like, you know, when I put this thing together and I kind of took over the whole process, like, I have a vision of what I want to do, and I'm going to be successful no matter what, everything that I do. And I do a lot of ventures outside the fitness market, but I'm still heavily involved in the fitness side. And I just, you know, I have so much appreciation for the people that supported me, and the opportunity is endless because of social media, and I have so much more reach. I mean, I feel now the popularity of myself and people like Ronnie Coleman, even Kevin Leverone, we're bigger than we've ever been, right? Because of social media. So I'm not just a magazine guy, but I think if people have the chance to interact and they come to these events, and, you know, the trade shows are kind of dwindling too. So you have to kind of watch. I'm very active on the YouTube channel. I have, you know, my Jay Cutler TV, which I'm putting a lot of stuff out there. I'm very strong on social media, and I do everything to give back to the business that made me successful. So it's people like yourself that really give content and give people the insight to what's right and what's wrong. And, you know, I do appreciate that. And that's why, like, I get podcast requests every single day. I want to be honest. I don't take a lot of them, because my time is, number one, limited. But when I feel that someone's giving a benefit to the viewers, the listeners, whoever out there, that can benefit them and tell them the right and wrong things, I mean, that's a plus for me. And I just want to educate everyone, and hopefully, you know, I can continue to do that. So when I'm looking to do my ads and put out my content, it's always to educate people. Just like if you watch my training, I always say, this is why I do it. These are the sets and reps. This is what you do. This is how you eat. Okay. And I can't stress, listen, we can talk about supplements all day. Yeah. The diet is the key. Supplements are supplemented in with a great diet. So if anyone out there is listening to this and they don't have a structured diet plan, do not waste your money on supplements. Okay. I want to sell all the supplements in the world, but you got to have structure to your program. Do not expect a miracle from all the different supplements that you take. Okay. You have to work in conjunction and have all those patterns. And then we talk about the sleep. The sleep has to be right. The rest, the recovery. It's so important. And remember, supplements are best taken around the training first thing in the morning. I always stress that to people. So we have great intra-workout products. We have pre's, we have post, and just be smart, read up on it, do as much research, be smart about it, and choose the brands that give you the most information about that stuff. That's all.
Awesome. Well, I mean, thank you for coming on. Hopefully we'll get you on again in the future, because it sounds like things are going to take off, and it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks so much.